solid state and true timber, as well as
It's noticeable to me that when I use a 4K mouse, it just feels more responsive.
you can go as fast as you can without trying to go on. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're doing a quick follow-up on the PureTrak P-51 Mustang Samurai edition. Big thanks to Ausmodshop for sending this out to me. This is going to be a short video because I've already previously reviewed the original P-51 Mustang, so if you haven't seen that video yet, do go check it out. Instead, we will be primarily comparing the new P-51 to the old P-51, as well as to one other pad worth mentioning. So the first thing to note is that the OG single-colored P-51 Mustangs are no longer produced and cannot be purchased again. The Samurai is what you have to get now. I've already rated the OG P-51 Mustang as perhaps the most goated medium speed pad to exist, just the goat of all-rounding. It is definitely on the faster side of medium speed, but not quite fast enough to be a speed pad yet. It maintains good dynamic and static friction, controllable yet never sluggish, and just overall well done. My concern with the Samurai update then is, does it match up? Now, one thing to note is that generally with pads that have printed designs, the printing process itself tends to cause slight alteration to the surface, regardless of how little the manufacturers may claim. Therefore, I was quite concerned that the P-51 Samurai may have been a downgrade in terms of surface performance, but I'm happy to let you all know that my concerns are unwarranted. The Samurai continues the excellence of the P-51, but with only improvements. Firstly, the new P-51 looks absolutely stunning in person compared to the previous plain colored rectangles. I'm a huge fan of the new design. The coloring is also very vibrant and actually looks good, rather than just looking good in an image render but mediocre in production. This is the real deal. Secondly, the new Alpha Cell base has been improved. With the original P-51, one issue it had was being overly sticky onto your table. In fact, you have to peel it off the tables after a while. Now, some people didn't like this, but I have no problems whether or not it's sticky as long as the pad doesn't move. Alright. The new P-51 is no longer super sticky, and still it doesn't move on the desk, so that's fantastic. Additionally, the base now feels a lot more consistent and smooth. And this isn't something I can quite describe to you other than you have to compare them yourself. The pad, however, does feel a little firmer than the previous, but that is probably what contributed to the consistency boost, as the firmness itself across the OG P-51 didn't feel quite as consistent as this one. Now lastly, the surface retains that silky smooth feeling and works perfectly with arm sleeves, right? In fact, this new one feels even smoother and even silkier than the OG P-51 Mustang, which is truly mind-blowing. The OG P-51 Mustang felt a bit more cloth-like in comparison, and I would attribute these differences to printing, as the printing processes usually smoothen pads up a bit more and remove a bit of that cloth feeling. So all in all, the P-51 Samurai takes the OG P-51 and improves on all aspects, making this easily the best all-rounder mousepad I have ever tried. Unfortunately, PureTrak still refused to make a 500x500 version, or this would be my #1 main and I'd just be done with mousepads entirely. Please, PureTrak, release the 500x500! Anyway, at this point in time, I believe the biggest competitor to the P-51 Samurai is the Air Gecko, which I have under the P-51 here. Skipping aside everything else and just talking about 2 points. The Gecko is available in 500x500, which gives it a big win over the P-51 inherently. Secondly, in terms of surface, the Gecko actually feels more clothy than the P-51. It's also very slightly less smooth, slightly less arm sleeve friendly, and slightly slower. Now, other than the arm sleeve aspect, whether the smoothness and speed differences is a pro or con is up to the user. Some people like it to feel slightly less smooth and clothier with more feedback, some people like it slower instead of faster, and so on. Both are still perfect with arm sleeves, so don't fret over this part. I will always tell you guys a pad is acceptable or not, and both of these are on that perfection end of the spectrum. The Gecko is also much firmer than the P-51 Mustang, should you try pushing. But the usage experience between the two in regards to firmness is essentially negligible. Neither feels like you can really push into the pad for extra control at all. I really struggle to pick one of these pads over the other as a better performer, but I reckon if the P-51 was available in 500x500, then it would have to take the top spot. However, the Gecko may be more TAC FPS friendly for most users, as the larger size right now benefits lower sensitivity, which is common in TAC FPS. Also, the pad is slightly less smooth and slightly slower, which people enjoy feedback and also enjoy slower pads for TAC FPS, since most users would have come from slower and clothier pads than both of these. Which is why in my tier list, I have listed the P-51 as the best all-rounder, while the Gecko as the best TAC FPS pad. If you do play only Valorant, you play only CS, you've only used Artisan Zero or GSRSE or slower pads, then you'll definitely have an easier time adjusting to the Gecko as well. All in all, the P-51 is a must-have, a must-try, and still the crown holder in my mousepad experience. Buy this pad and you can all thank me later. Or buy the Gecko and you can still thank me later. So once again, thanks to Ausmodshop for sending this out to me. If you're an Oceania local, then you know where to go for your P-51 Mustangs, or your area Geckos for that matter, though not like you guys have any other options anyway. Until then, see you all in the next video. Oh, and lastly, PureTrak, please make a 500x500 P-51 Mustang! I beg you!